Yes, wherever you go, you're just not trying. AM 1220 KDOW.
Sponsored by The Way to My Heart Incorporated.
Welcome to the Heart of Innovation. 60 minutes that could save life and limb with new breakthrough ideas and innovation changing the healthcare landscape. Brought to you by Patient Advocacy Group, the Global PAD Association at padhealth.org, in partnership with Reflow Medical, the pulse of medical ingenuity. Here are your hosts for the Heart of Innovation, Emmy Award-winning journalist and founder of the Global PAD Association, Kim McNicholas, and interventional cardiologist and founder of Save My Piggies Health and Wellness, Dr. John Phillips.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the show. Today on the Heart of Innovation, we're talking with someone whose impact on our nation's veterans is nothing short of extraordinary. A great way to honor our veterans with Veterans Day just this week. John Wordin, or JW as we call him, is the founder and president of Project Hero and founder of the LifeScore Health platform. And for more than 17 years, he's been creating programs that help veterans improve their physical and mental health, including many who have been able to reduce or even come off insulin through the supportive lifestyle systems that he has built. Before dedicating his life to veterans, John was an elite cyclist, a U.S. national championship bronze medalist who led the Mercury cycling team to 535 wins. Imagine that. And 7 straight North American Team of the Year titles. And recently, his work with veterans was recognized on a national stage. He received the Warrior Lifeline Award as well as the American Exceptionalism Award, honoring his extraordinary contributions to veteran resilience, recovery, and well-being. John's story, or JW's story, is about innovation, service, and an unwavering commitment to those who served our country. And we are honored to have him with us today. Welcome, JW. My amazing co-host, JW's Dr. John Phillips. He is in the middle of an emergency trying to save a patient with a STEMI, and so he will not be here today, but he sends warm regards and congratulations for all of your success. So thank you for being here today and for all you do for our veterans.
Thank you for having me, Kim.
So we always kick off our show with a moment of inspiration. So Christy, our producer, kick it off because JW, he has a quote for all of us today.
Dr. John Phillips' spectacular, vascular moment of inspiration.
I love it. That never gets old, even when he's not here. JW. You know what, actually, we have a live studio audience here for the Heart of Innovation, and we do have a veteran we actually honored this week. We have Heinz with us. And before you share your quote, what if we bring in Heinz in our live studio audience to share one that he has? Heinz, go ahead and share your quote of the day.
Well, this quote is from Bob Marley. If you know who Bob Marley
Oh, yeah.
He was a reggae singer. He died young. But his quote was, you never know how strong you are until being strong is your only choice.
Wow. What does that mean for you? I mean, especially being a PAD warrior and a veteran. I mean, those words ring highly true, don't they?
They definitely do. Yes, especially when you feel bad about, that, hey, I have this disease, you have to try and boost yourself up and try to bring yourself to being stronger and just look at it as a nuisance or something you'll get over.
Yeah. And you know what, Heinz? I think you should stay with us in honor of Veterans Day. And because we are interviewing someone who is helping veterans. Why don't you stick around and guest co-host with me today throughout the show? So jump in with any questions you have at any point. It's always like the firing squad, like a press conference, whoever jumps in and can talk louder and faster and more to drown out the other to get the question in. And then we'll put JW in the hot seat, right, JW?
No problem.
So what did you think of his quote? And then share one of your own as well.
No, his quote's great. I mean, you got to put yourself out there and it's do or don't do.
Okay. So your quotes.
My quote is, the future belongs to the bold.
I love that. And especially you have been so bold in helping veterans. I just see a bright future for what you are doing with your platforms and helping veterans with their physical and mental well-being, especially with LifeScore. I can't wait to hear more about that. But first, I'm curious, you're not a veteran yourself, and yet you got into helping veterans. What was that moment of inspiration, that aha moment for you that got you involved in helping those who served our country?
So I did officer candidate school for the Marine Corps when I was in college. So that was kind of my military experience, if you will. But I had been a professional cyclist, and I got this call from the VA in 2007 asking about setting up an adaptive sports program for their suicide prevention program. And so at that time, I was at a time in my life where I was sort of looking for, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And so I went up there and we did a bike ride with a group of veterans, and just in talking to them on the ride and listening to their stories and listening to what they were dealing with, I'm like, I can do this, and it's really important. And that was sort of we sat on the curb, myself and these two other clinicians, we sat on the curb after the ride, and we just basically laid out exactly what the program was going to be. And 3 months later, I was in the secretary of the VA's office.
You're kidding.
Telling him, and we were off and rolling.
I mean, did it just seem too easy for you? It just seemed like 1 minute you're a cyclist and the next minute you're suddenly, with one of the highest ranked people in Veterans Affairs, launching a program to help the thousands and thousands of veterans across the country.
Well, that's how you know that what your idea is pretty important or has a high priority. Is when it happens that fast, and all of a sudden you're in the office of the Secretary of the VA. And then, we decided to do a demonstration ride, because there were naysayers that thought that was a dumb idea. So we decided to do a ride at Walter Reed with a small handful of patients there and a couple folks from the VA. And I was smart enough or lucky enough or fortunate enough or whatever the karma was to invite this guy, Sal Rubel, who was a USA Today sports writer, who had covered me during my cycling career. And I knew he lived in Washington, D.C., and he liked to ride bikes. So I just invited him to just come along for the ride. And
literally,
he wrote a front page story about the ride and how it moved him and how important it was to him. And 2 days later, I got a call from Senator John Kerry asking if I could come meet with him to explain what we were trying to do.
That is incredible. Talk about being bold. Well, coming up next right here on The Heart of Innovation, we're going to have more on the great success of John Wordin, JW, on helping veterans across our country. So stay with us right here on The Heart of Innovation. Don't go away.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So Heinz,
it really happened that fast too.
I just can't believe that. I mean, it's one thing to have an idea, right? You have an idea, but so many people say, okay, well, it's great to have an idea, but what proof do you have that you know how to execute? Blah, blah, where's your CV? And it's like, you know what?
Well, I had a CV because I had 7 straight Team of the Year awards. So
Right.
that was my calling card at that time.
But
That gave me
you
all the
hadn't done
credibility
anything.
from the cycling perspective. And then as soon as we did that ride, that very first ride, and there was like 3 or 4 pretty significantly injured patients that were on the ride, and just the the way that they felt and how they
Yeah.
described it and how Sal wrote about it, it was like instantly transformational. And yeah, I mean, it
But
was pretty incredible.
but just want to clarify. So segment 2 is around 8 minutes, 40 seconds. Okay, great. Thank you, Chris. Um, you're not considered though a veteran. I mean, you went to cadet
No,
school. Yeah,
no,
okay.
no. I
That's
just
right.
went to officer candidate school. It wasn't that great of an experience, to be honest.
Okay. Oh no. That's not good.
Well,
Um,
I learned a lot about myself. I also learned that recruiters lie and some other stuff.
Back
But
in 30.
fantastic. Hey, Heinz, I'll jump to you. I'll say, hey, we're hearing about the story. What do you think so far? Do you have any? And then you can just throw a question to JW, okay?
Okay.
Member FINRA SIPC.
AM 1220 KDOW.
Here we go.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Dr. John is he's on call today, and he is saving one of a patient's life who has a STEMI over there in Ohio. So we are sending some good energy his way into that of the patient, that it all goes well and it's a success. But meantime, here in studio, we have John Wordin, who we call JW, and he is talking about his story where he's been able to help so many veterans across the country, starting with a foundation of cycling and an event with cycling that ended up getting great coverage. It caught the attention of Senator John Kerry, and we're going to hear in just a few moments where that took him to ultimately where we are today. But I want to bring in my guest co-host, Heinz, for the day, because Heinz is a veteran. We featured him this week, and you can go to youtube.com/the @ the way to my heart to hear his incredible journey as from the military clear to now, and as a PAD warrior. We always talk about PAD, meaning poor circulation in the legs, peripheral artery disease. But Heinz, you've heard some of JW's story. What do you think so far? And do you have any questions for JW as we head into our second segment here?
Yeah, JW, what kind of reception did you initially get from the veterans?
The veterans loved it. I mean, that has been and always, even today, after 17 years, continues to be the number one thing. It's like, I don't advertise, everything is word of mouth. And, we did that first ride with just, like I said, a small handful of guys. I think there's some pictures in that bio thing that I sent you earlier, Kim, of
Yeah.
that ride. And then we after that March event that we did at Walter Reed that got the coverage in USA Today, we had plans to do this ride from Walter Reed to the Coca-Cola 600 NASCAR race over Memorial Weekend. And
Oh, no way.
so we were planning that ride. And so we ended up that very first ride in May of 2008. We had 14 riders, 7 from Walter Reed and 7 from Fort Bragg. And within 20 minutes after leaving Walter Reed, one of my big sponsors from Shimano, he had sponsored me my entire cycling career. And so I invited him to come out on this ride. And 20 minutes, we're just coming out of Rock Creek Park, if you know Washington, D.C. at all. And we're heading south there. And he goes, this is going to be big. This is going to be really big. So that was 20 minutes into the ride, and he wasn't wrong.
So talk about how that ride has actually evolved. You decided you wanted to move on. How many rides have you had since that one inaugural event?
So we've done 60 of these week-long rides over the last 70 years. And then we've probably done a few hundred,
70.
like 60 multi-day rides. So like week-long rides that we would do. And then we've probably done a few hundred one-day events all across the country. And we estimate that we've had about 30,000 veterans participate in one of our events over those years.
For
Wow.
17 years, this has been, yeah, that's pretty incredible, that you've had so much success clear across the country. What is the largest group that you've had at one of these events of veterans?
So we had 350 riders on the 10th anniversary of 9/11. So we
Oh
did a
my.
ride from New York to Shanksville and finished at the Pentagon. So we left on the 10th anniversary of 9/11, and that was amazing. And then we had probably over 400 riders the last day, because people would come in and ride a day here or a day there. But it was incredible because we had family members and survivors from the World Trade Center. We had family members from Shanksville, and then we had family members and survivors from the Pentagon come in and speak to the group. So like, for example, the American Airlines pilot, we had the sister of the pilot that crashed into the Pentagon come out and speak. We had Todd Beamer, the famous Let's Roll. His dad came out and spoke to us at Shanksville. And then we had a number of survivors and family members from the World Trade Center.
And, is there any one particular story of a veteran that still today just reminds you of how worthwhile these events are and the impact that they have on every single veteran that participates?
Yeah, the story I often tell, and I told it at the Kennedy Center event, was Delvin McMillan. Delvin came to me, and we did this ride in Florida at the end of 2009, and I'm sitting there like on the Monday or Tuesday after the ride had finished, and my phone rings, and it's Delvin, and he goes, "Hey, my name's Delvin McMillan. I was just in the airport in Florida, and I saw a bunch of your guys from the ride, and I want to do that." And so I said, "Great." And he goes, "Well, I don't have any arms or legs." And so I said, "Okay." And I had him send me some pictures of what he was dealing with. And then he goes, "I only want to do it if I can ride an upright bike. I want to ride an upright bike." And so I called all around, and
Oh my goodness.
more or less it has never been done, or it had never been done up to that point. So I called my buddy at Shimano that I mentioned earlier, and I said, "Send me handlebar systems, braking systems." So whether it was a BMX bike, a mountain bike, a road bike, a triathlon bike, I just got all the different pieces. And then for about 6 weeks, through trial and error, I just kept trying to figure out the combination of things so that he could shift, brake, and steer without crashing.
You're kidding. You actually built this with your bare hands.
Yeah, in my warehouse. Yeah.
Oh
And
my goodness.
so when we were successful at doing it, that changed the lives of so many veterans after that, because it proved, hey, I always had the saying, if Delvin could do it, you could do it. And so that pretty much rang true, because if you could have a quad amputee ride a regular upright bike, and he successfully completed the Texas Challenge the following spring, which was our first event of the year. And I mean, like I said, every veteran, anyone sitting around a hospital or Walter Reed or whatever, I was getting calls from all of them, because all of a sudden they realized, hey, if Delvin could do it, I can do it. And so that definitely changed the trajectory of the program.
And you must have had a moment with Delvin as we're heading into break here with 30 seconds left. There must have been some inspiring words that still stick with you today that really speak to his mindset and perseverance? What are they?
Well, I would say a couple things. One, there was this VA expert that I called as I was developing the how to do it, and I asked him, how are we going to do this? And he said, well, we could put him on a hand cycle. And I said, he doesn't have any hands. And he hung up. He hung up on me. But the first ride we did with Delvin, and there's some pictures that I sent you of that ride. You could see the smile on his face, just grinning from ear to ear. So because I'm not the smartest guy in the world, I had decided that I was going to put this big training wheel on the bike so that he didn't have to worry about clipping in and out of the bike. He could just ride. But my naivete or ignorance of road camber was very lacking, shall we say. So we're doing this ride and we're going through this rural area about 5 or 6 miles from the warehouse, and the road is cambered because that's how the roads drain, right, from the rain.
And coming up next, right here on the Heart of Innovation, we are nice cliffhanger. JW, you got to hear the end of the story and how it's inspiring so many, and it'll soon inspire you. So stay with us right here on the Heart of Innovation on KDOW. Don't go away.
Oh yeah, I almost killed Delvin.
What? Oh my God. That's crazy.
So the road camber, so the training wheel, training wheels don't ride exactly at the same level as the rear wheel. So there's a little bit of a gap. So if there is a camber and the training wheel gets popped, it sends the bike flying. And so we're riding along this road, and Delvin's,
you're going to have to tell the story again. I'm just warning you.
No, I'll tell the rest of the story. But anyway, so Delvin, the training wheel hits the camber in the road and sends Delvin flying into this dirt. And they have these big, gigantic boulders to prevent cars from going off the road. And Delvin went straight into the boulders. And I was like, oh my God, we killed Delvin. Delvin gets up, dusts himself off. He's like, let's go.
That's the best story ever. You're going to have to tell it all again in just a second.
The best part about having no arms and legs or just having prosthetics is you don't get road rash. So you just get.
So he did have his. So everyone's probably wondering. So he did have prosthetics on.
Oh yeah. Well, I sent you pictures. There's pictures.
I can't remember. Yeah. I don't think I really focused in on the fact that he had the prosthetics.
Yeah, it was quite the technological engineering marvel to figure out how he could particularly brake. Because when you're riding a bike, the body and the bike don't brake at the same speed. That's why you have to hold on to the handlebars when you brake, because otherwise your body would go flying off the edge. And so that was like one of the hardest things to figure out, was how a guy that can't grip handlebars could brake without launching them over the, to do a flying W.
Oh my God. And I want to remind, so if Douglas or Marcia, if you guys have any questions as well, go ahead and just let me know in the chat, and I'll call on you. You could jump on camera and you could ask, questions as well. So just let me know. And Heinz, you're always welcome to beat me to the punch and throw in a question and shut me up for a second.
Yeah, I do have a question, but I'll wait till we get back on.
Okay. I'll let him tell his story. So when he's done telling the story, if you want to jump in with the question.
Yeah.
This segment's about 5 minutes, 30 seconds. This is so fascinating.
Back in 30.
JW, this is great. Thanks, Chris.
Well, when you asked me to tell a story, I got like shit tons of them.
Well, that's what we love. The stories make the whole show, which is great.
That's why I don't write speeches when I'm asked to give a speech. I could just tell a story, and it's so much better than anything you can write down on a piece of paper.
You're good at it too. And Joshua says stories win. They do. Here we go.
1220 KDOW.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Dr. John is literally off saving a life. He's on call at Ohio Health, and he has a patient with a STEMI, and so we're sending them good energy. Meantime, back here in studio, we have John Wordin, JW. He is the founder of Project Hero. He is the founder of LifeScore Health as well, a great platform for veterans. But before the break, you left, I mean, it was an amazing cliffhanger. You have this gentleman, a veteran, who has no arms, no legs, and he wants to participate in one of your rides, and he thinks he's safe. You built this incredibly adaptive bicycle for him to be able to participate in your ride, and he's thinking he's safe, and then what happened?
I forgot to account for the camber of roads, and so when the training wheel hit the high spot on a road, it launched Delvin into this dirt and boulder section off the road, and they have these gigantic boulders to prevent cars from going into the ditch, and so Delvin went launching to the boulders, and I turned to the other guys that were on the ride, and I go, "Oh my God, we killed Delvin!" And Delvin gets up, dusts himself off, and goes, "Let's go." And he's like, it didn't deter him at all. And when you have prosthetics, you don't have to worry about road rash. So he just got right back on. And I said, we need to go find a wrench and get that training wheel off before we kill him for real.
My God, those are definitely memorable words. Go ahead, Heinz.
You know, a lot of these veterans have physical disabilities. Have you encountered any that have them emotional or mental disabilities? And have you seen that when they're riding, that it has changed their outlook for the positive?
Yeah, the endorphins, right?
That was the biggest breakthrough, I would say, of the whole program. Was after like 2010, 2011, there were less physical injury guys because we had wound down the conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan, so fewer guys were coming back. But yet we were getting more and more new
Oh,
people to the ride, and particularly female veterans. So there were two areas that we were getting. One was the MST trauma survivors on the female veteran side, and then the other was the PTSD traumatic brain injury folks that were on the psychological side. And it actually led to a study in 2016 by Georgetown University. They did a study on our program because the mental health benefits were freaking out the guys at the NICO at Bethesda.
Wow.
Oh, that's incredible. So, you know, can you have one particular story of someone who said, thanks to your ride, thanks to participating in the whole process, I literally feel like I have hope again?
I mean, where do I start? There's like thousands of those stories. So just because it just happened recently, there's a group of people that have been associated with the program for a long time. So there's one particular Army veteran, and he lost his wife to cancer. And so he went into a very big tailspin depression, and he was actually very suicidal himself. And he came out on the ride, and cycling is very unique because it's much a social as much as a physical, mental, emotional experience, and you're outside. And by doing the adaptive bikes, everybody feels equal because we all ride in a group. And so that was one of my big rules, was no one rides alone, we all ride together. And so we would have different groups so you could account for different speeds. But this particular gentleman, one day he goes, I would like to speak. So we'd always let the veterans, one or two veterans a night come up and speak at dinner. And so one night, he started talking, and he just recounted the story of how depressed he was, and basically he said that this program, this ride, saved my life.
Oh, wow, that is
Fantastic.
incredible. I mean, I just want to reiterate to you, this isn't just a ride. This is a week-long gathering that you also mentioned, that there is the camaraderie, there are the dinners, the social aspect is just as important as, well, even more important than the physical. But were you surprised that just a week-long event could have such a profound impact on these veterans? Did you have any question or any doubt in your mind going into this that suddenly
I had
on the impact you would have?
I had no doubt. Like I said, 20 minutes into the very first ride, the guy goes, "This is going to be really big."
Yeah.
It was like, just the fact, the way I described the ride is, everybody remembers the first day they rode their bike without training wheels, where they got that freedom, that independence. They were no longer tethered to their parent.
Yeah.
They accomplished a goal. They did something, the wind in their face, that feeling. And that's when people ask me to describe what the program was like, that was what the program was like. It was like that first day where you rode without training wheels, and how you felt that first 5-10 feet after your parent let you go, that euphoria that you feel, that was every day of the program.
Wow, I think just through hearing you, on this show, I think you're going to inspire so many people to get out and cycle. And coming up next, right here on the Heart of Innovation, we're going to talk about how the first cycling event and those beyond led to Project Hero, and then the development of the LifeScore Health platform to continue to help veterans in so many ways. So stay with us right here on the Heart of Innovation on KDOW. Don't go away.
And Kim, just so you know, it's Life Aid, not Project Hero.
It's Life Aid. Wasn't Project Hero part of it?
That was early on. So we sort of adapt the name as we go along to encourage more people to participate, I guess.
Oh, cool. So we'll just say, Project Hero evolved over time to its Life Aid.
Yeah. So it started off as we started off as Road to Recovery, and then someone was going to sue me over that name, so I changed it to Ride to Recovery, and then we changed it to Project Hero because we started doing more things than just riding, and then we wanted to incorporate more functional medicine applications, so we changed it to Life Aid. First it was No Vet Alone, because we were really concentrating, like to Heinz's point, on the mental health aspects. But then we started getting a lot of first responders, and they didn't feel like No Vet Alone. They felt like they were infringing. So I like, no, you're not infringing. We'll change the name. And so we changed it to Life Aid. And then then I sort of just kind of went from there. But that Georgetown study, Heinz, is what led to the LifeScore app.
Okay. So can you, talk about the evolution? We only have, I guess, 6 minutes, 25 seconds in our last main segment. And I really want to get to the nuts and bolts of the LifeScore platform, but I do want to, let's talk about the evolution of the ride into the platform.
Yeah. Can you let me, I'm trying to get another, someone's trying to join. I'm trying to join on my other thing, because I was going to show you guys some pictures.
There you go.
But
we only have 6 minutes in this next one.
Well, no, I won't show them during that thing. I'll show them after.
Yeah, we can do kind of a separate, thing right afterwards, and I can do it as a short, because we can send it to upload it separate as well. Douglas wants to look up something. What are you looking up, Douglas?
Me?
He wants to know your website.
We are
lifeaidhope.org.
Sorry, I cut you off, JW.
Lifeaidhope.org is the website. I'll put it in the chat.
Hey, Heinz.
Yeah.
Do you want to, when they kick back, do you want to say, hey, I'm Heinz, pitch hitting for Dr. John Phillips. We're interviewing John Wordin.
Sure.
And then say, hey, John, let's talk about the evolution of the bike ride to your current platform.
Okay.
Okay. You got to be on the ball as soon as he says, Kim McNicholas and Dr. John Phillips. Hey, I'm Heinz, a veteran, pinch hitting for Dr. John Phillips. We're talking to John Wordin or JW. And go into the thing. That'll be kind of fun.
Sure.
I love that you're always game for everything.
So JW, I got this other website. It says weareprojecthero.org. Is that not?
That's not me.
That's not you. Okay.
That's a story for another day. We don't have enough time for that story.
Okay. I'll get out of that website.
Yeah. You know how when you create something that's really cool, someone tries to copy you?
Sad but true. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Prince Harry copied my Warrior Games idea and made the Invictus games, and then got on Netflix and took credit for it.
Oh my God.
So I had a comment about that in my Kennedy Center speech.
You get any
Back in
feedback?
30.
No,
I'm wondering if Joshua, should we do if you have time, we could do an after show as well. I just need to do a separate intro on it. We just stay live and then we can cut it up extra. Okay. Josh says, yeah, if you're game for a few minutes.
FBI,
okay, here we go, Heinz.
Security for making the arrest. No one was injured in the attack. Officials say the man tried to enter Alina Habba's office on Wednesday armed. This is
AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Hello, this is Heinz. I'm a veteran, and I'm pinch hitting for Dr. John Phillips today. Enjoying this. And we have JW along with us, and we were discussing on the break about the evolution of how this all went from the beginning to now. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So like I was mentioning earlier, they put together a Georgetown study looking specifically at the mental health benefits of my program, because all these severely PTSD, traumatic brain injury folks were coming to the program, and they were coming back better than what the clinical treatments were doing.
Wow.
And
With
so-
just 1 week. With just 1 week.
Yeah, so it was freaking people out, and it wasn't like, it was wild because we had been doing the program at that point for like 8 years. So we'd seen I guess you'd call that anecdotal. I didn't need some researcher to tell me what was going on. You see it every time we do a program. And so they wanted to look at specifically depression, anxiety, PTSD, social functioning, isolation, those kind of things. And so what they found was that obviously everyone that participated in the program improved. And then there was a control group, and the control group did what the control group did. But the thing that was really fascinating to the researchers was that the intervention showed significant improvement, and normally you revert back to the start. You revert back to the mean as you go along. The effects of the intervention go down. But in my program, 1 month, 3 months, 6 months later, people were still maintaining their improvements or continuing to improve, and they didn't have an answer for that. And I had an answer for it.
What was your answer?
Well, because we had changed their lifestyle, so they continued on, And with the peer support, because of the social fitness component of how it was constructed, they would stay connected to people that they met at the program. And so they would always check in on each other and go, hey, did you ride today? Or how's it going? Or any of those kinds of things. So they continued to get better. So that caught the attention of the VA. And so I was one of the first VSOs to be an official suicide prevention partner of the VA. And in the course of that, you get invited to these monthly meetings with the suicide prevention people. And in one of those meetings, they were presenting their behavioral health autopsy program, which looks at approximately 3,000 suicides post-mortem. So it looks at it from the patient perspective, the family perspective, the clinician perspective. The bad part is the people are already dead, so you're not helping anybody. But hopefully you're going to learn from what you found. And so they found all these common themes or common behavioral health risks is what I call it. And I'm like, I just blurted out, like, why aren't we measuring those things? Like giving people some information about their behavioral health risks so you can help them before they put the gun in their hand or before they get ready to harm themselves. And like no one had ever thought of that, I guess. And so I was like, immediately in my brain, I came up with this idea of we need a credit score for your life. I wrote it down. I go, we need a credit score for your life, because everybody loves a number. And if you have a number, you know how you're doing. So immediately I figured out, okay, we're going to measure mental health, spiritual health, physical health, sleep, food, and nutrition, because I wanted to understand if people were self-medicating. And there's a variety of other things that we look into. But the idea is you give people a score. It's based on the 80, 90, 70, 60 framework. So everybody knows what your number is. Hey, I know how I'm doing. And then if someone, let's say, Heinz, I'm your buddy, I see your number 60, I'm going, Heinz is struggling and I can help you now. And so we've created that framework through a technology device, through an app, because everybody has a phone and everybody loves a little friendly competition. So I can see what your number is. You can see what my number is. All the buddies from our platoon back in the day, we can see what their numbers are, and we can find each other and help each other and keep each other accountable and keep each other in the game of life.
Well, how do you prevent that from becoming a shame work? So many of these men and women who've served in the military are very proud, and they might not want that to be displayed to everyone else. And do you find that maybe they're not honest about how they're feeling because of fear of shame in sharing it?
Well, the user controls who sees and who doesn't see their information, and no one can see how you answer the questions. So we've taken out any type of stigma related things that we could think of, but you have to be able to connect to people. So it's people you trust. So if Heinz is my buddy, I want him to see my number. So if I get into trouble, he can help me.
Fantastic. Well, coming up next, right here on the Heart of Innovation, we're going to find out more about the Life Score Health platform and how you can get involved. So stay with us right here on the Heart of Innovation on KDOW. Don't go away.
How much time do we got?
So literally, this is a hard stop at 4 minutes. This is our final one, and he will literally cut us off. But the radio doesn't matter as much, so they're not going to be able to see this on radio. But if we do,
show some pictures so you can see what Delvin. That's Delvin. So
oh no way! See,
we built this whole handlebar system for him.
Interesting. Wow.
This is actually the second version of it, because the second version we were able to make it with disc brakes, so he could actually do better. This is a bike we made for a blind Dissertec Marine, and this is us participating in the LA Marathon. This is a guy with no arms who did the Leadville 100 mountain bike race on that bike.
Oh, out here in Colorado?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Because I was going to ask a question. And my friend Douglas was out there asking, do you do this in Texas? It sounds like you do it in Colorado.
We do it everywhere.
Okay.
And you're still doing it?
Yeah, we
Are you
still
still
do
doing
it.
this?
This is one of the survivors of the Boston Marathon bombing. So we did something for him.
Wow.
There's the same guy with on a road bike. And then these are these EOD guys, and they always got blown up. So
And when is your next event?
probably in the spring. So this is the original. This is the very first day I met Delvin. We were trying to figure out everything, and this pad that we made, that was the braking system, and we put this lip on it, so even though he didn't have a hand, he wouldn't get launched, because we didn't want Delvin to die.
Yeah, no.
So
Where's your next event?
It'll be in California. So this is the very first ride that we did. You can see how big smile.
Really big smile. Yeah.
This was a quadriplegic Marine. We built a bike for him. Another arm amputee.
Wow.
Back in 30.
Okay. Okay. So, nuts and bolts of LifeScore platform, what it offers and how people can get involved. So that's kind of where we're going in 4 minutes.
www.alamedaalliance.org. Alameda Alliance for Health is your local partner in health. We are still in this together, and we are here for you. Sponsored by the Alameda Alliance for Health and aired by the California Broadcasters.
KDOW. 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back to the Heart of Innovation. For more on today's topic, go to theheartofinnovation.org. That's theheartofinnovation.org. Once again, here's Emmy Award-winning journalist Kim McNicholas and interventional cardiologist Dr. John Phillips.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Dr. John is off actually literally saving a life. We're in studio, though, with JW, who is saving the lives, I think, of thousands of veterans across the country through his amazing rides, the cycling events, one coming up in the spring in California. Before we get back into your LifeScore Health platform, where can people find out about that particular ride? If they're a veteran, they want to participate, maybe there's a sponsor that wants to get involved.
Yeah, you can just go to our website, lifeaidhope.org, and you can see the different tabs, and one of the tabs is events, and we'll list our different events. We do a lot of things with the local sports teams, and then we do these, like I said, our big thing is social fitness, so we do these hike, bike, boat, barbecue events in Newport Beach throughout the year, and then, we're trying to expand our functional medicine offerings to veterans so that they can get off their prescription drugs.
Yeah, let's talk more about the functional medicine and the LifeScore Health platform and the offerings that you have for not only veterans, but anyone can actually sign up, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, the LifeScore app is a free download on either the App Store or the Google Play Store. And it measures your life across these 6 whole health domains. And then we look at mindset, we look at life experience, health history, demographics. And the idea is to give people actionable information. So we give you your score, we give you what your score means, and then the app will send you tasks and resources specific to your challenges so that you can improve.
And, how many people do you have on the platform now? Do you have a few hundred people, a few thousand people? I know you're building this out and you're currently scaling.
That's correct. Yeah, we have a few thousand users right now. And, we have a big project coming up with the government, and we have some things that we want to try to do with the Make America Healthy Again movement, because it's really, you know, oftentimes, especially RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz and Dr. Jay Bhattacharya are really big on whole health and giving people, you know, information so that they can improve their life. Because if you can reduce chronic disease, chronic pain, you can really improve people's health and the healthcare system and how the healthcare system works.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where anyone, you know, falls politically. It's literally about, if there are efforts to try and make people healthy, how can we get involved? And you know, how can we argue with you and your platform and your events that have truly had a tangible impact on veterans and continue to do so? So in the last 30 seconds here, tell us how you hope the LifeScore Health platform will evolve and who you're looking for to get involved with the platform to help drive it forward.
Yeah, so we, you know, our big thing is like 62% of our participants reduce or eliminate their prescription drug use. And so that makes people healthier. And what do you know, if you eliminate prescription drug use, you feel better, you're more apt to go outside and get some exercise, you sleep better. And so we're really looking, like I said, to connect with the MAHA folks, and you know, it's exactly what they want. And
thank you so much. Appreciate you, JW. And thank you, Heinz, for pinch hitting for Dr. John. Have a great week. Okay, everybody, welcome to the after show for the Heart of Innovation. We have a great guest. We have JW John Wordin. He is an incredible entrepreneur. He's helped so many veterans across the country to overcome their challenges, both mentally and physically, related to their experience, not only through the military, possibly in war, but in overall life itself. And so he has some pictures he wants to share with us of some of his cycling events. And he has one coming up in the spring, which is so exciting. Veterans can get involved. And I think you also allow for first responders to get involved and ride in this race. It's not really a race, but it's an event, right?
Yeah, pretty much anyone can participate. Like right now, we're doing programs for obviously military veterans, first responders, frontline healthcare workers. We're getting ready to start a program for lawyers because they are in the top 3 of job stress and the highest suicide ideation of professions. We're doing a project right now for transitioned aged youth, which are 18 to 24, and trying to help them get in the game of life and get engaged for future, like putting them into trade school so that they can have a career, especially here in LA. We're working on a project to get them into construction trades so they can help rebuild the houses in the Palisades in Altadena. So one of the very first events we did with the transitioned age youth was a bike ride. And we rode from Venice up to the Palisades. And it was a test for the kids to see, you know, what kind of intestinal fortitude that we were working with here.
Yeah.
And so I brought a couple of trucks with us because I figured we were going to have to pick up a bunch of the kids, that they weren't going to make it up the hill to the Palisades, but they all made it.
That's incredible.
None of them wanted to quit. Well, because again, it's that peer pressure, right? So if one guy makes it, then they go, oh, the Delvin effect. If that guy does it, I can do it. And then, you know, no one wants to quit. And that's exactly what you want. But they tough it out. And then they're like, oh my God, like I did it. Like they accomplished something. And every time I see those kids, the first thing they want to talk about was that bike ride.
Cool.
Oh,
I have to
incredible.
wonder though, with, you know, you mentioned earlier that you had a bike ride there in Leadville, Colorado, for people that don't know. And that's 10,000 feet.
It's 100 miles, and you start out at 10,000 feet, and then you climb up to a little over 13,000 feet.
There you go. That's pretty high.
It's pretty
So you're
high.
literally not going easy on them.
No.
These are not easy rides.
No, and that's what the Joint Chiefs and the Wounded Warrior Command, they loved it. Like I got some video somewhere of General Cheek going, "This is the greatest thing ever. You sweat. It's hard. It's mentally challenging." It's not like laying around at some rock concert or fishing trip. This is actually something that moves the needle.
I love that. Gosh, I mean, you could literally put these cycling events in a box and just allow it to just go viral, and it
That's
could
what we're
apply in
trying to,
so many different areas.
that's what I'm going to try to do when I go to DC next week, to talk to people about just that. Because cycling is easy. Like, everybody knows they all rode a bike as a kid. And most of these veterans that joined the program hadn't ridden bikes since they were a kid, but they were tired of sitting around in a hospital bed and just wanted like the very first ride, that very first Walter Reed ride. The only reason we got so many guys to ride was because they got to get out of the hospital. They were just like, I don't know what we're doing, but I want to get out of the hospital, so I'm going to do it.
Love it. That's incredible. That's so inspiring.
But
I will never say ever again, though, it's as easy as riding a bike, because I had to, as a reporter, I was a sports anchor and sports reporter in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I covered a lot of NASCAR. And Carl Edwards, the former NASCAR driver,
I know Carl.
came into town. He was really big into exercise. He loves cycling. And so I wanted to do the interview thinking it's as easy as riding a bike. So I'm going to ride a bike. I hadn't ridden a bike since I was a kid. So I'm trying to hop on this bike to do the interview. And it's all caught on camera. It's the funniest thing I think you could ever watch. It's ridiculous. He was laughing. He had to help me back on the bike and tried to get me balanced. The problem was, it turns out it was a bike that was, I'm only 5'4", and it was a really big bike, and the seat was way too high. We should have done some adjusting beforehand, but it just was a really hysterical segment where I was like, I don't know if I could ride this bike to do the interview. Ultimately, it did work out, but he's a good one to contact because he's into cycling. Another one for
I actually know Carl, because I was working for a race car driver before I started doing this.
What?
And so I went around to a bunch of he was an IndyCar driver, and I was doing like some marketing and different things. And so he would do like Crown Royal racing, which was, they had like NASCAR drivers, IndyCar drivers, Formula One drivers all raced together. So I got to meet a lot of NASCAR guys, and so Carl was one of the guys that he knew who I was from the professional cycling thing. So he they all want to ride with me because they want to see how good they are compared to me. So it's kind of comical. And then
wow,
that was the reason why we got the finish at the Coca-Cola 600, was because I knew the track owner. So we actually got to do a lap on the track, and then we got to meet all the drivers. And then the Secretary of the Army comes up and goes, "Hey, I hear this program's pretty good. I hear you're really doing something. You got to come to the Pentagon and come see me." And then that was like one of those John Kerry things where it just sort of took off from there.
Isn't it amazing when you're driven by purpose, right? And you have that mission, how it just everything's divine intervention, divine right timing. People just end up being attracted to you, who align with your mission and can help drive it forward. And I think that that's just such a beautiful, beautiful thing, which actually makes me think that you've already been introduced to Brian Cuban, Mark Cuban's brother.
I have not, actually.
Really? So he is a retired attorney. He was a former addict. He's been incredibly supportive of our efforts here with the Global PAD Association. And I am more than happy to introduce you. He helps, he has multiple books out. He has a movie that's actually going to be coming up based on one of his books, his actual fiction novels, but his nonfiction are based on his journey and, with addiction, and how his older brother and his, Mark and his other brothers saved his life from a life of addiction. And he goes around the U.S. speaking on this issue and helps attorneys who, and you know, especially aspiring attorneys, to develop a healthier mindset and to cope with all the stress. So he would be a good one to get involved in your project. But I love all these pictures that you're sharing right now. Oh, look at that. I love that. Who were you presenting the shirt to?
That's Senator from Rhode Island, I believe. He's on the Senate Armed Services Committee.
Oh, I love it.
He's a ranking member. So we created a program specifically for women and MST trauma survivors.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, look at this.
And then this was our France ride that I was talking about. That's me.
Oh, so this is really global.
With Obama. More women's initiative stuff.
Oh, how fun.
What do some of the doctors tell you when they talk to you about what they see in their patients?
Oh, no. I mean, they all want to come on the ride because they want to see what we're doing so that they can do it with their patients. Well, at least some of them. Okay. And then there's some of them, like, here's a good story for you. So we're like a couple years into the program, and this new Pentagon pencil neck bureaucrat, paper pusher, wants to shut down the program, and so they are like, this is dangerous. This is really, really dangerous. We have to put a stop to this. We're putting our patients who are trying to recover in harm's way. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? And so General Casey, who was the chief of staff of the Army at the time, I tell him the story, and he picks up the phone and calls the person and says, I'm General Casey. I'm the chief of staff of the Army. And the person says, sir, this program is dangerous. And he said, more dangerous than deploying to Iraq and Afghanistan?
Seriously.
That was the end.
I mean, you've got to be kidding me. These people, and as our YouTube producer Joshua says, I mean, definitely from the Department of HR. And, you know, sometimes you just need to stand down, soldier, and let people ride.
There were people who thought the Warrior Games, because we didn't even talk about the Warrior Games, but the Warrior Games, when I came up with the idea of the Warrior Games, there was a lot of people that thought that was one of the dumbest ideas ever. So,
oh no, it sounds brilliant, and we want to hear.
So we're on the Texas Challenge in 2009, and General Cheek, who was the Army commander for the Wounded Warrior Command, is coming out to check me out. And that's when he famously said, like, this is exactly what we need to be doing. Like, this was the second day of the ride, and he's like, this is the greatest thing ever. Man, it's hard, it's mentally challenging, it's physically challenging, it's emotional, and like, we need more of this. And he goes, John, not everyone wants to ride a bike. We need ride to recovery skiing. We need ride to recovery swimming. We need ride to recovery track and field. We need ride to recovery this, ride to recovery that. And I go, no, sir, I have a better idea. And so he goes, come to the Pentagon. So I come to the Pentagon, and there's about, I don't know, half dozen people, smallest conference room. It was like a closet. There was room for a table, chairs, and a whiteboard, and you had to move the chairs to close the door. It was that small. And so I go in there and I go, Warrior Games, we're going to have a competition between the service branches, and all the Wounded Warriors are going to compete. And I said, it's going to change the lives of every person who comes through the Wounded Warrior program. So there was this one guy who thought it was the dumbest idea ever, and he got invited to the second meeting. He wasn't in the first meeting. It might have actually been the third meeting that he was in. And he gets up there and says, we can't do this. This is not going to be good. And just every time he would just be Mr. Naysayer, you know, rain on your parade guy. And luckily, the Marine Corps commander, General Cheek's counterpart for the Marine Corps, you know, the Marines are like, fuck yeah, we're going to do this. We're going to kick everybody's ass.
Of course. Did it bring PTSD back for you for cadet school in college?
Oh, no. Like General Amos was the commandant of the Marine Corps, and I would tell him my stories of officer training, officer candidate school, and he goes, I don't care, John, you're a Marine. He goes, what you're doing,
nice.
you're a fucking Marine.
Hey.
And so anytime anyone would give me any shit about not being in the military, he would go, that guy's a Marine. So it was pretty funny. But when I saw like they have these Netflix shows on the Marine Corps right now, there's a couple of them. Those definitely ring true for my experience.
I have a hard drop in 4 minutes, but JW, this is really beyond belief. Never heard of this until today, and this is very interesting.
Yeah, we'd love to figure out how to help you and to further your efforts. The one in California is going to be in Southern California, I imagine.
It's going to be in Newport Beach, but what we're trying to do, well, a couple things. So next week when I'm in DC, one of the things I really want to do is I want to create an AI component to LifeScore so that the user can interact. I mentioned this to you on our call the other day, so that the user can interact with themselves with a chatbot and then be able to get precise information, even like telehealth or virtual healthcare through their phone immediately.
Yep.
So like if you're dealing with, if the app AI detects you're at risk for a certain condition, let's say PAD, you immediately can get some information and exercises and a treatment plan based on functional medicine to get you going immediately and have
just
that
walk.
Yeah, but whatever it is, and whatever condition you're in, because like I've been getting, since I gave that speech at the Kennedy Center, I've been getting reached out to, again, it's just all word of mouth. I get reached out to by like you, PAD, and then I got another one, cystic fibrosis, and then I got another one the other day, and then another one the other day, and it's like the app works for all these different constituencies, and so that was how it was designed. So creating this AI thing is going to change everything in how we deliver healthcare, and so I want to create my own model so that I can control the information, so I know that like people aren't going to get false information or people aren't going to get unvetted information. And then also the AI is not going to go off the rails, you know. And
it's also one thing that I've dealt with is AI is built to comb the web, and it's built to go to prioritize certain resources that are just literally antiquated, or maybe there's only a limited amount of evidence that supports it, but it is because they're large and have a big name that the information is prioritized, but it doesn't mean it's up to date and accurate. And I found one, for example, today I was doing some research on the healthfulness of beans. Of course, we know that they're not healthy unless they're soaked and cooked, right? There's so much evidence that shows that, but yet a major name system has an entire article on how soaked and then dried beans or legumes are really healthy with protein and zinc and iron, and they don't mention anywhere about the toxins that you get from eating raw beans. And it blew my mind. So, that's what I'm dealing with PAD is I want to make sure that we have information that our medical board of directors actually agrees with and aligns with, that is completely up to date. So I agree with you as well to develop your own.
that example you just gave is exactly why I want to create my own model. It's more expensive on the front end. It'll be cheaper in the long run, but it'll also be better. So that's what I'm trying to get some funding for. There's a bunch of people that want to talk to me at that event on Wednesday. And then there's a lot of people that want to use the app in their research projects and different things. So there's some different folks that I'm talking to there. And then so I separated out in two parts, right? So I got the technology part, and then I got like the brick and mortar part. So I want to we had a long time sponsorship with United Healthcare that funded all those rides, and then the CEOs changed, and then they dropped out. So I'm trying to find a new sponsor to bring those back, at least trying to do a few of them, because now we don't have to restrict it to military. We can have anyone that thinks they can benefit from it that could come out and participate, and like whatever condition you're in. Because we've had a lot of guys, I told you before, one of the things that was really interesting in the Georgetown study was if they looked at the top 4 medications that people eliminated, one of those was insulin. And immediately it was because people that were type 2 diabetes, because of participation in this program, were no longer type 2 diabetic.
Wow.
And that's huge. That reduces the chance of PAD too.
I have to drop at one thing, JW. Joshua put in the chat window, I know a guy who can help with your YouTube channel. So, you know.
That's something I was going to bring up afterwards. But since you brought it up, Heinz, it is a good thing. We're still live on YouTube, and Josh has played an integral role in helping our 501c3 and so many others to build our YouTube channels. And so I think it would be incredible if I could connect you both, and he is willing. He actually made the offer there, and it's a good time probably to announce that you and I are going to start a podcast, and we're going to start featuring patients together that are veterans and first responders, with many vascular and cardiovascular comorbidities. And I know you have so much more content than that you can definitely be expanding out into a full YouTube channel. But that's a really great start where we can work together. And Josh is going to help us, with that. And hopefully you both will, have some genius together to drive your mission forward as well.
Yeah, I sort of have a theme there real quick. Like, thanks for that, by the way, Kim. Thanks, Josh, for the offer. So I have a theme called Hope Springs Eternal that I want to use as the theme, because I think that's really like the key word that we found in our program is, people that come out there, they get renewed hope or they find hope, and people who have hope don't kill themselves, and they have less physical, emotional, spiritual issues with their health. So Hope Springs Eternal.
I love it. Well, stay tuned for that. And if people want to get in touch with you, they can go to your website, Life Aid Hope.
Yes, Life Aid Hope. .org. LifeAidHope.org. And then the LifeScore website is getlifescore.com. And I'm pretty easy to find. People seem to find me all the time. I had the co-founder of Peloton send me a note on LinkedIn the other day. So I was like, oh, I'm moving the needle a little bit these days.
Yes, you are. And thank you for all you do to save life and limb for all of our veterans.
And thanks for having me. It's been wonderful talking with you, not just on this podcast, but our other conversations, because, this PAD thing and